Hey, what's up? This is Hill Harper, and I am here with my cousin. Many people say he's one of, but I say he is the greatest guitarist in the world, and that's my cousin, Stanley Jordan. And we're just gonna chat for a while. You know, I'm so excited. You have a new album coming out on Mack Avenue Records. It's called State of Nature.
You know, this thing has really been a labor of love for me, and some of the songs I've been actually working on for quite a long time. Like one of the songs is called Ocean Breeze, and that's a song that I first did the original recording of that back in the late 90s, and then I came back and updated it for this album. So that song's kind of been around a while, but then Prayer for the Sea, which I used to call Ocean Song, and I wanted something deeper that really said more, you know, and I realized that Prayer for the Sea really said more about what I'm feeling and about the need to really protect the oceans and to be aware of what's going on with the oceans, and how what's happening with the oceans is a kind of like a mirror for what's happening with us. What happened was that I started to notice that I had a lot of nature-oriented themes in my music for this album, and that's always been really important to me anyway, getting inspiration from natural surroundings. And this is one of the things I've always loved to do. I go to really quiet, beautiful places, I compose, I record there, and I like to feel that somehow is an ingredient in the music. So when people hear the music, they feel that. Look at the state of nature today. It's not good, you know? So that's something that requires our immediate attention. The positive thing is to return to a state of nature, and that has to do with our own state. And a lot of what that has to do with is sort of going within and healing some of the stuff that we individually have on the inside to put us in a position to where we can do the right thing as far as the environment is concerned. So what I feel like my job is to help people to be in touch with their essence so that they can make those better decisions. I've always been influenced by people who said, you know, it's always about making music. No matter how much chops you have, no matter how much you know, how much technique you have, at the end of the day, it's all about making music. And I think that we have a very musical album, and we have a real musical version of All Blues. We've got Song for My Father by Horace Silver, and we've got an original composition of mine, A Place in Space.
Is this album your best work to date?
That's a really good question. I think in a lot of ways it is, because it represents everything that I've done up to this point, you know, and all the elements are in there. Even there are elements that even aren't prominently featured, but yet they're in there. And I could point to, see, right there it is, you know, and I could talk about a lot of my influences that are there. You know, you hear Wes Montgomery in there, you hear B.B. King, you hear Chuck Berry, George Benson, Carlos Santana, you hear all kinds of influences in there. I would say that it's the most comprehensive of all the stuff I've done in terms of really kind of pulling my music into a focus, you know.
How do you decide what you're going to give the audience versus what you just want to play or how you want to play it?
I want to give a good show. It's not just a question of being able to play well and then take the same thing that I did, you know, alone in my practice room and then just do it in front of people. It's not the same thing. I want to bring the music to the people. There's a whole thing to that. So you know it's not a gimmick because, you know, magicians never reveal their secrets. And I have no problem revealing, you know, how I'm doing it. Tapping is basically just another word for something called hammer-ons or hammering on, where you use your finger like a hammer and you hit the string. These metal bars are the frets, and when the string hits the fret, the impact causes the vibration. And if you do it that way, you can play guitar with just one hand. So the single greatest thing about it is the independence, because I can play something with one hand and something completely different with the other hand.
You have an amazing, diverse group of people who are on the album. Tell us about some of the people.
We also have Tammy Brown doing vocals on Steppin' Out and also on Ocean Breeze, and Jai Kishore, wonderful sitar player. We also have Mayta Weiss, the fine up-and-coming virtuoso cellist, David Haynes, wonderful drummer who plays traditional trap set drums and also has this special thing that he does where he plays the drum machine with his fingers like a keyboard. Another fine drummer, someone I've played with for many years, is Kenwood Dennard. Charnett Moffett, wonderful bassist, and I've known him for years, and he also shared some of the bass duties on Ocean Breeze with Tommy Brown, that's Tammy's brother.
Now, you mentioned your daughter Julia. She's on your album. What was that like, and what is she doing?
It's so much fun, you know. She sang some backup vocals for me on Steppin' Out, and I mean, she's always been a natural with the music. And so she always thought, well, okay, you know, I love music, I always want to be around music, but probably not really as a performer, you know, because that seems too much of a challenge dealing with all the industry stuff, you know. So she wanted to be in some kind of other part of the business. And then the performing thing just sort of happened, not because she had dreams that somebody was going to make her a star or make her rich or whatever, but just because it was in her blood and it was something that she just had to do because it was who she was, you know. And I think that that is doing it for the right reason.
So on the album, there are interludes or bumpers. How do they come about?
Yeah, we have these short songs that are like a minute or less in length that are in between the main songs on the album. They give me an opportunity to have some fun with some material that's a little bit different from most of the stuff on the album. And so I can add a lot to the album in terms of whole different kinds of stuff without having to add a whole lot of extra time. It's like, check this out and check this out, you know?
So the song Prayer for the Sea, you play it with two guitars.
Two at the same
At
time
the same
without
time.
overdone.
Why and how does that elevate the song, or what's the reason of making that choice?
There are certain things that I wanted to do with this song to sort of capture the feeling of the ocean, that sense of depth of the ocean. And the way that I did that was by playing certain chords that are very rich. And so I had to be able to play enough notes in the chord to create that sense of depth and richness. So I can play the song on one guitar, but I can't get the full richness that I feel in the song. And the whole thing of playing the piano and the guitar at the same time, there are musical reasons why I do that. You know, it's one thing is that I have a larger variety of sounds. And it's not just the coloration of the sound, but also the types of things that the instrument can do. Like for example, on the piano, for playing lines on the piano and really digging in deep to like a deep pocket swing kind of a feel for the jazz, you know, I just love what the piano can do with that. I finally got to the point where I started to say, you know what, the music is too important to compromise it, and I'm going to have to figure out a way to deal with the practical side, and I'm going to have to figure out a way to go ahead and bring that other guitar with me to get to this music that I want to play. And so once I made that decision, that's how it ended up being, you know, on the album, because I knew that once I made the album, I was going to want to tour the music as well. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm stepping out, I'm going for it. All this stuff that I've been holding back, either because the world wasn't ready, or I thought the world wasn't ready, or because I thought it was too much work, or because of whatever reason, it's time to do all of that stuff. And that's a lot of what this album is about for me.